Hello everyone, welcome back. This week I upgraded the optic on my AK-47s from the 403C to the 503cu. That's what you have here. And the difference is that on this 403, this is dot only, okay? The one I have on there now, the 503cu, is dot, 2 MOA dot, plus the 65 MOA circle. And what I found is that it was, it does give me a big advantage if I'm shooting unconventional positions. And what happens is if I come up, right now, so if I come up, and my gun's stock's in my shoulder, face touches the gun, my optic is, my circle is right there, right? But what happens is if you're shooting like an unconventional position where your face is not on the gun, right, for whatever reason, or I can't see my dot. My dot is off the, it's outside of my ring, but I can see a piece of that 65 MOA circle. So it gives me a clue as to which direction I need to move my head in to find my dot. Okay, so that's one of the things that I found that, one of the reasons I found that 65 MOA circle gives you a big advantage. A lot of times when I'm at different places and I'm training new shooters, that's one of the things I find, because a lot of times when people come, you'll tell them to put the stock in their chest, bring their face down to the gun, like nose up here near the front, and they'll put the stock in their bicep, head off the gun, right, and they can't find that circle. So by having that 65 MOA circle, I find with new shooters, I'm able to get them to the optic a lot faster because they can see a piece of it. So that kind of gives them a clue. Okay, yeah, they gotta move their head down a little bit. So it helps them get to where they have to get a lot easier. And that's a really important feedback, because what I find is that under stressful situations, regardless how much training you have, and especially if you find yourself in an awkward position, you may have difficulty getting your face, getting your body, getting the gun in the places that they need to be. So big advantage to having that 65 MOA circle, especially on an AK where the optic is pushed back, because on an AR, right, I have the AR here, the optic's pulled back a little bit more. Okay, when you come up, right, that circle is a little bit, because it goes closer to your face. Even if you get your face off the gun, yeah, I can still see the full circle, I can still see the dot, all right? So I can, so just because it's further pulled back, it's a little bit more forgiving. On the AK, on this setup over here, just because it's pushed forward, when I come up, okay, if your face is off the gun, everything is going to complete. That dot's going to disappear completely. But right now, with my face off the gun, I can see like the bottom part of that 65 MOA circle. So that helps me know which direction I have to go in. Part of the reasons why I decided to do this upgrade is, with the ammo prices, raising, I think the cost of 223 is something like $18 to $20 per box, 20 rounds. Well, the price for AK ammo is still about $9, $10 for a box of 20 rounds. So shooting the AK, training with an AK right now is a lot more economical. Now, if you don't have an AK, I'm not going to suggest you run out and buy one. If you have one, I would suggest that you upgrade it the way I have it. But if you don't have one, don't go out there and buy it, because if not for the cheap imports from Russia and some of those Eastern Bloc countries, if not for the cheap imports, the AK ammo would not be so cheap, right? It would be probably a lot more expensive. We'd be paying like, I don't know, maybe $30, $40, even $50 a box right now. With, given the way this election ended up, right, there's a very good chance that Biden and his communist friends are going to stop the import of ammunition from Russia, right? Really good chance. So if you do have an AK, guys, get yourself 5,000 rounds, 10,000 rounds. Get yourself like a lifetime supply of rounds of ammunition for your AK-47, because there's a very good chance that Biden is going to stop that by executive order. Okay, I mean, they stopped the imports of you know, Segas and other things. So I don't think it would take that much effort for them to stop the import of AK ammo. So if you don't have an AK, I'm going to tell you, don't bother. If you do have one, buy lots of ammo, like a lifetime's worth of ammo. And at the moment, you have the advantage of being able to buy it cheap and train. So, you know, right now I'm doing a lot of training with my AK. I got, you know, a lot of ammo. It is a great gun. The way I have it set up, just like an AR. Now, a lot of times people will be like, hey, why do you set up your AK like an AR? Why don't you just get an AR? Well, here's the thing I tell people, you know, ARs, right? ARs did not start off in this configuration. They started off with carry handles, with solid stocks, you know, they have plastic guards up here. So AR started off completely different, and they made changes to this to make it more usable. Okay, so the same idea goes with an AK. You know, just because they started off a certain way doesn't mean that they can't change them to make them more usable. There's a reason why ARs are set up the way they are with the rails, because they're more usable. So it's not that I'm trying to turn my AK into an AR. This is just a proven configuration that works. So with the AK, biggest problem with the AK is real estate, right? There's not too many places up here to put stuff. Can't put anything on the dust cover because this is not a stable surface. So all this area over here is really not usable. Using the side mount rail over here that comes over the top, I have found is not very stable. Like if you push on it, you'll see that it moves. Okay, so that's not a good place to mount an optic on the side rail. So the way I have it set up on top of the gas tube, you know, basically the bottom, there's a Midwest rail. The bottom rail is clamped onto the barrel. Then this top rail is basically bolted onto the bottom rail, and the optic is mounted on top of that. With this rifle right here at 200 yards, I have hit 3.5 inches. Okay, so less than 2 MOA on this rifle, and that's because of the way I have it set up. When I had the side rail with the scope on top, even with a magnification scope, I think I was hitting something like 6 to 8 inches at 100 yards. So simply, you know, by switching over to the, you know, to an optic mounted, you know, bolted onto the barrel, basically, right? You know, clamped onto the barrel, I was able to increase the accuracy of this rifle to 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches at 200 yards. So that's how you want your optic mounted sling. You want this on the outside over here, this on the inside, so you can throw the rifle over your back, right? Bring it back around, come up, right? Come up, safety on. Okay, so this is a good way for this setup. If you need to do a transition, right, with this being on the outside, I can swim out of this, bring this over to this side, right, safety off, right, and I can then shoot to that side, bring it back around, get back into the sling. So I have found that this is the best way to set up your sling on AK. You're gonna want, like you can see on this rail here, I have some plastic here so I can grip this, because especially in the summertime, this can get really hot, you know, if you're doing a lot of shooting. That's one of the things that in the summertime I try not to shoot with gloves on, because I want to have a good sense of how hot my rail is, so that I don't cook my red dot. Although the Holosuns are pretty good, they can take plenty of heat. As far as light, that's always an issue with an AK-47, just because of the limited real estate space. The best option that I have found is to use a pistol light. Let me loosen this sling up a little bit, and I'm experimenting with this quick adjust release, quick adjust sling, which is not so quick. You gotta actually yank it to loosen it up. Tightening it up is easy. You just pull it, and it seems to tighten up pretty quickly, right? So you can get into position. But then the loosening part is a little bit slower. So still, it's brand new, so it might just be a matter of breaking it in. But the reason why I needed to loosen this up is because I wanted to twist the rifle up this way, show you guys how I mount my light. Right. Right. Of course, I'm doing this with gloves right now. There he goes. I'm not going to bother tightening this up right now, but on the easiest way to mount the light on an AK is on the side rail, the way I have it, and to use a pistol light because it's shorter. Okay. You know, there's not too much space on this handguard right here. So, because I got to put my hand here, and if you've got an actual rifle light, which is almost as long as, almost as long as the handguard, you got no place to put your hand. Okay. So with this, I can come up and basically I can activate it. You know, I can activate the light with my hand like that. All right. So now, obviously, I'm not going to go into combat with this setup. This is more of an emergency type of setup, where, in the self-defense situation, you're going to probably be shooting within 50 yards. This is a good place where you can quickly mount the light, get it on there, get it off. Like in the daytime, I won't leave it on there. I'll take it off. I have found that this is a really good, quick setup for a light without taking up too much space, without having to run wires. And then what happens is you just take it off when you're done, in the daytime, so you don't have to keep it on there. And this is not so bad. Like I said, I'm still practicing with this sling. I think I got it for something like $10 from Amazon, so it's a cheap sling. But now that I'm working with it a little bit, I think a lot of it is a matter of just getting your hands in the right position. Not so bad. So yeah, initially I was like, this is not so quick adjust, but yeah, now I can see it. It's not bad. It's just a matter of learning to use it. So that's very workable. Okay, and that allows you to do your transitions, come out of it, get back into it, tighten this up a little bit. So there it is, guys. Like I said, the main purpose of this video was to tell you guys, if you have an AK-47, get the circle dot. Get the 503cu solar powered 65 MOA circle. It's going to make your life a lot easier just coming up, because if your head's off the gun, you can still find that, at least a piece of that big circle, and you know which direction to move in order to actually get to your dot. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a member, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.